What if humanity's deepest spiritual secret had been uncovered, only to be buried again in silence? Imagine the year 1943, the height of a world at war, when the body of Nikola Tesla was found in room 3327 of the New Yorker Hotel. The official statement said he died of a heart attack. But those who stepped into that room first knew it was not only a man whose pulse had stopped. Something else had been cut off that night. Something like a transmission, a message flowing through him that never reached the world. Within minutes, government agents swarmed the room. They didn't leave a scrap behind. Every notebook, blueprint, machine, and diary was seized. Yet there was one object that never appeared in any official inventory. Something hidden away so completely that history itself denied it existed. It was a leather-bound notebook, stamped with a golden geometric symbol, and its pages glowed with a faint violet light even in complete darkness. The pages did not contain only equations or technical sketches. They carried a frequency, a pattern of vibration encoded into symbols, a sound trapped inside form. This was not an invention in the ordinary sense. It was a memory, an ancient code rediscovered. The ink itself was alive, sensitive to human touch, shimmering faintly when held. Among its markings were symbols identical to those carved into forgotten Atlantean temples, the very same designs spoken of in the emerald tablets of Thoth. Tesla had not created this frequency. He had channeled it. He knew its source. Thoth, master of Egyptian initiates, had written of a sacred word that sustains all creation, a vibration beyond ordinary hearing, a resonance felt only in the awakened heart. Tesla had captured it, not as sound, but as a vibrational portal sealed in a book, waiting for someone whose inner state matched the key. That is why it was taken. That is why it was silenced. Because vibration is the foundation of reality. Whoever masters vibration, masters form. Years earlier, long before his final days in New York, Tesla had already begun brushing against this forbidden truth. In the open fields of Colorado Springs in the late 1800s, he walked beneath a sky unbroken by wires or city noise. It was here, in the silence of pure mountain air, that he built his greatest experimental station. Towers, antennas, coils, and wires sunk deep into the ground. To most observers, he was testing electricity. In truth, Tesla was listening. One silent night, he connected his receiver directly to the earth. At first came faint noises, then pulses, beats, steady and rhythmic, like the heartbeat of a giant beneath the soil. Then came breathing rhythms, a deep inhale, a pause, an echo. These were not random. They were organized, alive. Hermetic wisdom had long declared that the earth is not dead matter, but a living intelligence, the anima mundi, the world soul. That night Tesla heard it with his own instruments. The planet itself was alive. It pulsed. It sang. And more than that, it responded. When his concentration was sharp, the patterns became clearer. When his attention wavered, they grew faint. The earth was not simply making noise. It was in dialogue with him. He realized he was not listening to geological tremors or mechanical interference. He was hearing a living frequency, a hidden code rising to meet him, a secret that the ancients had called the primordial sound before all sounds. In the language of initiates, it was the vibration that gave birth to existence. This discovery shifted everything. Tesla no longer saw the world as a machine, but as a cosmic organism, a field of intelligence. He began to notice that these vibrations organized themselves in response to his own inner state. When his focus and emotions were aligned, the signals took on harmony. When he drifted, they scattered. It was as if reality itself could hear him, and it responded in kind. He realized that thoughts, feelings, even silent intentions carried weight. Anger had a frequency. Love had another. Gratitude, peace, sorrow, all were measurable waves. Everything, from stones to human hearts, from light to thought itself, moved in vibration. The universe was not a solid stage but an instrument, and every being played a note within it. Tesla plunged deeper. He began to experiment with how different frequencies affected plants, metals, water, and even the human body. He found that vibrations could change states of matter, influence growth, amplify or weaken vitality. Ancient Hermetic writings suddenly became literal. Harmony is the law of the all. Sound is the key that opens every door. The emerald tablets were not symbolic poetry, but scientific instruction. By producing the correct vibration, one could heal the body, purify the mind, influence destiny itself. Some sounds restored harmony, others shattered it. The ancients had preserved this truth. True power lay not in making noise, but in finding the precise frequency that aligned with the rhythm of the cosmos. Tesla realized that he himself was part of this experiment. In silence and focus, in control of breath and emotion, his own frequency shifted. When he radiated calm attention, his machines stabilized, antennas cleared, signals strengthened. Even the air in his laboratory began to remember his presence, holding the resonance he had produced. It was as if matter itself could be retuned by human intention. If the universe was an instrument, then humankind were the musicians. But only those who had learned to truly listen, to feel vibration in its purity, could play it well. But not all frequencies were safe. Some were hidden, guarded for ages. Some could tear apart the delicate fabric of balance. Tesla knew this. Yet one night, in the midst of his experiments, he discovered something that could not be ignored: the frequency of 528 hertz. When he exposed himself to it, the atmosphere itself shifted. Noise disappeared. His racing thoughts fell silent. Time slowed to a crawl. In that silence, visions came alive. Symbols, images, and insights more vivid than dreams. With each experiment, the effect grew stronger. His sensitivity to others deepened. He felt their emotions as if they were his own. His body seemed to heal without effort. He slept less but awoke more energized. Around him, an invisible harmony connected every object, every particle, every breath. Every cell within him stirred with memory, as if recalling something ancient it had always known. This was no ordinary sound. Ancient alchemists had called it the golden frequency. Egyptian priests had built rituals of regeneration upon it. It was said to be the vibration of balance, the tone that reconnected life to its original matrix. Hermetic writings described it as universal love, not the fleeting emotion, but love as a force, the essence that dissolves division and restores unity. Thoth himself wrote that chaos begins only when vibration is lost, and healing begins when the original sound is restored. Through this frequency, Broken things became whole. Tesla experienced this truth firsthand. He saw that thought itself was vibration, and when thought was carried by the right frequency, it became more than communication. It became transformation. The 528 Hz tone was not merely sound. It was a key, a portal, a reunion with a hidden layer of consciousness. But Tesla sensed that it was not complete. As powerful as it was, healing, harmonizing, uplifting, it was still only a fragment. It reached the heart but not the root. It restored balance but did not change the deepest structures of reality. Somewhere beyond it lay a vibration older, more powerful, more dangerous, and it had been concealed for that very reason. Tesla began to see that the universe spoke not only through sound, but through number. And three numbers in particular had followed him all his life: 3, 6, and 9. To most, they were ordinary digits. To him, they were the code behind creation itself. He noticed strange anomalies whenever they appeared. Experiments behaved differently. Patterns emerged where none should have been. Combinations of these numbers revealed effects that defied explanation. To Tesla, they were not just numbers, but gateways. He once said, "If you only knew the magnificence of 3, 6, and 9, you would have the key to the universe." And he meant it literally. Tesla pressed further into the mystery of these numbers, suspecting they linked directly to the forbidden frequency he had glimpsed in Colorado Springs and touched in fragments through the golden tone. He felt that behind all sound, all vibration, all form, there was a structure woven through mathematics itself, a resonance encoded into number that could alter reality at its foundation. And if uncovered, it would not merely heal or balance, it would reconfigure existence itself. And that, perhaps, is why it was silenced. Tesla began to notice a strange rhythm hidden beneath his work. Whenever he set his devices to function in multiples of 3, something shifted in the results. When he organized his schedule into 6-hour cycles, his mind became sharper, more focused, as if clarity itself was being summoned. And when he laid out his notes into 9 columns, his insights flowed with a sudden ease, as though doors of understanding had been unlocked. This was not a matter of superstition, nor was it coincidence. Something greater was happening, as if the very field of reality was responding to him. But why 3, 6, and 9? Why these numbers above all others? The key rested in wisdom much older than him. The ancients had already spoken of 3 as the foundation of creation itself. They taught that all of existence manifests across 3 planes: the material, the mental, and the spiritual. To them, 3 was not just a number, it was the symbol of birth, the spark of creation, the moment when possibility takes form. 6 was the place where that form found balance, the harmony between opposites, the middle ground where chaos finds its order. 9 was the point of return, the completion of the cycle, where all things spiral back to their source. Together, these numbers trace the pathway of consciousness: emergence, balance, and return. This pattern was not only symbolic, it was woven into the physical world itself. The pyramids of Giza, the temples of Luxor, the Dendera zodiac, the chambers of Saqqara, all of them built around these numbers. Every angle, every measurement, every alignment was tuned to 3, 6, and 9. The ancients did not carve these patterns as decoration. They embedded them as codes. These sacred sites were not just monuments of stone. They were vibrational instruments designed to align the human mind and spirit with higher planes. Walking through them was not meant to impress the eyes, but to retune the soul. Tesla decided to take this principle into himself. He began to breathe in patterns of 3, 6, and 9, inhaling for 3 counts, holding for 6, exhaling for 9. At first, it was simply rhythm, a cycle of air, but soon it became something else. His awareness expanded. His thoughts grew clearer. His memory felt deeper, as though he was not just recalling the past, but reaching into something beyond it. And after 9 full cycles, time itself began to change. Seconds slowed, hours stretched, his perception bent, and then opened. What he saw was not imagination. It was as if a hidden calendar unfolded before him, revealing dates, names, events. Some he recognized, others yet to come. He even glimpsed the date of his own death, but the vision did not feel like destiny carved in stone. It felt like programming, like code waiting to be altered. He realized then that time was not rigid, that body, matter, and even reality itself were not fixed objects. They were fields of vibration, shifting constantly, and if there was any language capable of speaking to them all, it was the language of resonance. This realization drew him into experiments that seemed almost dangerous. He built a small mechanical oscillator, no larger than a showbox, that could send out rhythmic pulses. At first it seemed harmless. He attached it to the frame of a building under construction and let it hum. For several minutes, nothing changed. Then, the steel began to shiver. Bolts rattled loose. The entire structure trembled as if it were about to collapse. Such an effect could not be explained by conventional science, but within the teachings of Hermetic law, it made perfect sense. Everything vibrates, and what vibrates can be commanded, but only if one can meet or exceed its vibration. That was the essence of resonance. Resonance is not simply sound. It is harmony at the deepest level. When 2 bodies or 2 consciousnesses share the same inner frequency, they communicate directly, without words. The ancients called it sympathia, not sympathy as emotion, but as invisible tuning. It is why certain herbs can heal particular organs, why certain chants break emotional walls, why a single look can dissolve pain. Everything vibrates, and what vibrates in tune merges. Tesla realized he did not need to force anything. He did not need to break through obstacles with power. He only needed to find the exact frequency that would cause the barrier to dissolve itself, like a crystal glass vibrating until it shatters. But then his thoughts turned to the earth itself. If everything has a vibration, what of the planet? Did the earth itself carry a tone, a hidden resonance, a fundamental heartbeat? And if so, what would it mean to tune himself to it? When he discovered that the earth indeed had such a resonance, everything changed. The earth did not merely respond. It revealed. It offered him something beyond the physical, something that awakened a deep recognition within him. In his boldness, Tesla entered fields charged with millions of volts. Any other person would have been destroyed instantly, their body torn apart by the current. Yet Tesla emerged unharmed. He had not resisted the energy. He had aligned with it. His body had tuned to the field and absorbed it, pulsing in harmony with forces that would otherwise kill. In that moment, he understood something profound. The human body is not only matter, it is an antenna. It does not merely receive, it transmits. Tesla began to measure the field of the body itself. He found that emotions changed the electromagnetic patterns. Anger created broken and unstable waves. Fear made the field collapse inward, shrinking it. But love expanded it, steady and radiant. The body's energy was not still. It was sculpted moment by human feeling. The ancients had long understood this. To them, the body was not flesh alone. It was a temple of light. Every cell carried a fragment of the original source. The field around the body was the soul made visible. The initiates of a Amenti used sound, silence, and vision to shape this field, not praying to forces outside, but awakening the light within themselves. They spoke of the solar vehicle, a subtle energy body capable of travel, healing, and transformation. Mystics had called it the aura, but Tesla understood it as living technology. When he aligned his own field with the Earth's resonance, his perception expanded beyond machines. He began to sense something no device had ever recorded: the memory of the planet itself. The Earth was alive with layers of vibration, carrying pain, joy, wisdom, fear, everything humans had ever lived, all preserved like invisible records. The Earth remembered, and within those memories, Tesla discovered reflections of himself. Then came the vision. It was not a voice, not text, but a living image, as though the Earth itself projected into his mind. He saw a tower, not merely a building, but a column that could transmit energy across the world, bridging frequencies without loss or limit. Yet it carried a secret. It was bound to the emotions of whoever activated it. In the right hands, it could free humanity. In the wrong, it could enslave. Tesla understood then that the mind itself is not just a place for thoughts. It is a transmitter. To visualize is not to dream idly. To visualize is to code. What he imagined was not fantasy. It already existed in the vibrational plane, waiting to be drawn down into matter. The ancients had called this mental generation, the law that says all things are created first in the unseen field, then manifested into form. He realized that many of his inventions had not been new creations at all. They were visions he had tuned into, technologies that already existed in vibration. His role was to translate them into matter. But the tower, the greatest of them all, was different. It carried both salvation and danger. It could uplift the whole world or bind it in chains. Everything would depend on who reached the forbidden frequency first. Tesla withdrew from the applause of the world. He turned away from fame and recognition. He stepped into silence, not an empty silence, but a fertile one. In this hidden space, his experiments changed. He stopped building mere machines. He began to build vibrational portals. He created a consciousness amplifier, which expanded perception until time and space dissolved. He built an emotional resonator that translated human feelings into sound, revealing harmony or imbalance. He developed a dream synthesizer that tuned the mind during sleep, leading to lucid dreams filled with symbols, encounters with beings of light, and awakenings filled with new knowledge. But with these discoveries came fear. Tesla realized that the same machines that liberated could also imprison. They could amplify awareness, but they could just as easily manipulate it. They could heal emotions, but they could just as easily implant thoughts. They could open portals, but also close them. He remembered the ancient warning. All power without the heart becomes a chain. Technology is never neutral. Every invention carries the vibration of its creator. Even light, when used arrogantly, can blind. Tesla saw that his work was no longer just science. It was a spiritual legacy, echoing the rituals of ancient temples where only those pure of heart could wield sound without being consumed by it. He realized his inventions touched sacred fields, the same fields once guarded in Atlantis, where resonance itself was worshipped as divine. And so he made the greatest choice of his life. He hid his most powerful creation, not with locks or vaults, but with vibration itself. He sealed it with frequencies that only someone of equal consciousness could unlock. No code of logic could reach it, only resonance. And then came the deepest secret. What Tesla found was not truly a machine at all. It was a memory, a note that had always existed, a soundless vibration at the root of creation. It was silent, but it could be felt trembling within the heart. It was not outside, but within. It was present in every atom, every particle of light, every cell of the body, and it revealed itself only when thought, feeling, and presence aligned in perfect harmony. Tesla understood that this was what the ancients had guarded in their temples and tablets, a truth older than time. The universe itself is built on vibration, and when you align with it, you do not merely observe reality, you shape it. The Corpus Hermeticum speaks of something that cannot be contained in words, describing it as the frequency that moves all substance. Alchemists once called it the sound of the source, the eternal vibration from which all life springs. Tesla, after years of discovery, invention, and genius work, realized that everything he had built was only pointing him back to what was already alive within him. Every machine, every blueprint, every discovery was just a mirror reflecting what had always been hidden inside his own heart. He came to see that the true power was not outside, not in the wires or the engines, but in the frequency that lived within his very being. This frequency cannot be passed from one person to another. No teacher, no guru, no master can give it to you. It cannot be taught through books or lessons. It cannot be transferred by sound or symbol. Why? Because it is not really a sound. It is a state of being. It is not something you listen to with your ears, but something you awaken to with your soul. And once you step into this state, everything begins to change. It reorganizes the way life flows around you. It reshapes your health, not with pills or medicine, but with alignment. It bends time and transforms matter. It heals without effort. It teaches without a single word spoken. It transforms without the pushing of willpower. It is the secret power that moves through silence, invisible to the world but undeniable when felt within. The ancient ones called it forbidden, not because it was dangerous, but because it required maturity to touch it. Desire alone could not reach it. Wanting it was never enough. You have to vibrate with it. You have to become it. It awakens only when your whole being moves in complete coherence, when your thoughts, your emotions, your breath, your body, your spirit all fall into rhythm together. It is born when the ego finally grows quiet, when the endless noise of the mind steps aside and the heart begins to lead. That is when it becomes alive in you. To the inattentive, it is invisible, unnoticed, as if nothing happened. But to the awakened, it feels like thunder breaking through silence. It is a revelation that does not need proof or explanation. It is something so real, it can only be felt. And here is the greatest truth of all. This frequency does not belong to Tesla, nor to Thoth, nor to any master, prophet, or sage. It does not belong to the ancients or to the future. It belongs to you. It is your inheritance. It is the treasure buried not in the ground, but within your chest. It pulses with every heartbeat. It flows with every breath. It has always been there, waiting for you to remember. And the moment you turn inward, the moment you listen, you begin to feel it. It has always been whispering, quietly echoing inside you, calling you back to yourself. If you are hearing these words and something in you is still listening, then something inside has already shifted. You have already begun to vibrate differently. You are not the same as when you began. Something deep within has already awakened. If you feel this, if you sense this stirring inside you, leave a comment below saying, "I feel the frequency." That way, I will know you are with us on this path, walking together on this vibrational journey. If you would like to go deeper and support the growth of this channel, there is a link in the first pinned comment. Any contribution, no matter how small, makes a real difference. It helps the message spread further. But even if you choose not to, the fact that you stayed all the way through, listening to the end, already supports this mission more than you realize. By giving your attention, your time, your presence, you are already amplifying this vibration in the world. And if you want to help it grow even more, share this message with someone who is close to your heart. One spark is all it takes to awaken the same vibration in another. One reminder, one word, one act of sharing can ripple into someone else's awakening. That is how the frequency spreads, from heart to heart, not by teaching, but by resonance.